Hi guys, and welcome back to another DrAce video, and today we're going to be playing Superbike 22, and it's now time for our guide for Misano. So I'm going to be giving you some tips and tricks on how to improve your lap time here in the San Marino GP of Misano. So first things first, going into turn 4, into the Rio corner, nice and tight to the apex. You can use quite a lot of the apex there, across the rumble strip, across the curb, and then you can really position it well to bring it out wide for turn 5 to then bring it back in and then get the change direction for 6. We're now firing it down towards Quercia, brake here well before the rumble strip to your right hand side there, as we now go a little bit wide. You can go either wide or tight. I'll probably show you both ways in this video, but now into turn 9 and then into Tramonto for turn 10, downshifting it all the way down to first gear, keeping it tight and then bringing on the power. So to the right hand side of the screen there, guys, that is for your benefit. That is the controller overlay. You can see how we're moving the left analog stick, how much we're pushing it and where it's being angled for some of the corners. Quick update on the controller config. It is left trigger for front brake, right trigger for the acceleration, R1 for the downshift, triangle for the upshift, and square for the rear brake. Now it is very important that you do use both the rear brake and the front brake under heavy braking conditions. So into the Misano corner, bit of rear brake there, just tapping it enough just to slow down the rear, but we bring on the power and we'll get across the line to complete our first lap of today's video. So braking into the first corner, a lot of rear brake there and only about 80% front brake pressure, running it a little bit deep and then get the change direction into turn 2. Bring on the power, bring it in nice and tight for the very anti-del Parco, keep it in, then begin to straighten the bike up. And see that line to the left hand side there? There's a white line on the outside of the circuit before getting into turn 4. That's your braking marker for the 4th corner. Brake there or a little bit before and you should be fine every single time. Now into Quercia for turn 8, right hand side there, you see the rumble strip as it begins. Make sure you're braking as hard as you can. A lot of rear brake and quite a lot of front brake as well. Almost 90% pressure applied to the left trigger. So now into turn 9, go into the rumble strip you see it on the left hand side there. Begin to move as that begins to appear on the screen. Move it over to the right hand side, keep it into Tramonto, and then bring on the power. Now down the straight here, up into 5th gear. Get near the rumble strip, and as you begin to start getting closer to that rumble strip on the left hand side, begin to turn the bike in and aim for that first apex. Get the first apex right and you're on your way to setting a fast sector here in Misano. So keeping it in nice and tight to Caro, we're going to move the bike over to the right hand side and then bring it in left here for 15. Be careful on how much speed you're bringing in there, because if you bring too much speed you will exceed the track limits and by going off the next corner, and the rumble strip there is deadly, so be very careful about running on too much power there. So firm on the brakes once again, well before the rumble strip on the left hand side, keep it into the centre of the circuit, move over into the centre and then keep it into turn 2. Change the direction now for turn 3 for the right hand side, once again keeping it nice and tight, keeping it in nice and tight once again, and braking firm for turn 4 there, using that white line on the strip there. You see, you must notice that, it's quite noticeable. That is very, very important for turn 4. I cannot stress it enough to you. So once again, powering down here towards Quercia, keep your eyes on the right hand side. There's the shadow, there's the lines, there it is. That's your braking marker for Quercia every single time with pretty much all of the bikes here in Superbike 22. So trying the wider line this time. We're going to be looking to the rumble strip to your left. Alright, begin to turn in, turn 9, and keep it in for turn 10. Went a little bit too tight here, I've got a bit greedy with the brakes there, so unfortunately I didn't run it wide enough. But it's quite okay, you can still use that line, but we did lose a bit of time. Towards the rumble strip, keep it in, keep it in, keep it in, keep it in. We'll begin to let the bike move over to the rumble strip and then keep it in once again. But this firm braking here, the braking is quite firm, maybe 85 to 90% brake. And then a bit of rear brake as well, just to get the bike turning in. Keep it in 4th, 5th gear, and then begin to start downshifting as you go. Don't downshift there abruptly, because the bike will get too much torque on the rear and begin to slip and just throw you off the bike eventually. So just be very, very careful with that. So across the line, and we're going to head back to the pits. I do want to change the tyres over and just have a little look at the brakes as well to make sure everything was running right, and it is, so we can now attack this lap again. So we'll be doing a couple more laps here in Misano. If you need any particular advice or assistance, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below. I'm more than happy to offer some more advice and any sorts of tips and tricks. But of course as well guys, if you are enjoying the content, be sure to hit the like button and consider subscribing as well. But as we come out to turn 6 now, we're going to once again pay attention to the right hand side, because you can go a little bit later if you're strong. So here towards the rumble strip we went quite strong there. Now we're going for the tighter apex, a line I prefer to use. You do have to be careful because the AI tends to go for the wider line, so if you do go tight and the AI gets near you, they might bump into you, so just bear that in mind. But tackling Tramonto the correct way this time, and as we now get to the most intimidating part of Misano, Cavone of course, but now into the right hand side, downshifting gradually. Once again, be very careful. Do not downshift to first gear there. There is absolutely no need to drop to first gear from 13 into 14. On the brakes before 14, absolutely, but coming into 12, into 13, into 14, stay at second gear at the very lowest gear. Don't drop it into first too prematurely there, because it just makes life very, very difficult. I've done it too many times before, and I implore you to not make that mistake. So into turn 1, I would like to mention regarding the setup of the Honda CBR 1000RR, or Triple R I think it is. And basically, the suspension is very similar to what I was using. In fact, it's actually identical to what I was using for the video a couple of weeks ago. With just the front end of the suspension has been reduced, everything else has stayed the same, but a transmission change has been imported, or implemented should I say, and that is the 5th gear has been extended. And the reason for that is there's a lot of corners here in Misano, especially coming up to Quercia, going into Cavone, and even going into Tramonto, where you find that 5th gear needs to be extended. Now there's also something else you can consider, so going up here into turn 9 and to turn 10 for Tramonto, you can increase the 4th gear as well, because you do reach 4th gear quite quickly going into Tramonto. It's something to bear in mind. Personally myself, I haven't changed it. I left it at standard for that one. I only changed the 5th gear, but that is so you can now attack Cavone into turn 11 with 5th gear and still feel quite a lot of confidence. It's more difficult to turn with those higher gears, I find, so sticking it in 5th gear at the highest gear for that one is better for me. Well, running it wide now and keeping it in tight for 15. Nice and gentle on the power, bringing it on nice and smooth and gradual rather than just full whack. Full whack acceleration never works, and as we got very close to the rumble strip there, we do indeed set the fast lap of the session. But a couple more laps under our belts yet to do, and I do think we can improve upon that. They did a 131 low in an online live stream recently, which I would like to try and compete with today, but unfortunately I'm not really going for fast lap times. I'm more so focusing on just showing you how I tackle this track and how you guys can learn how to tackle it as well. But for that change of direction and for turn 5 and turn 6 there, I do use a little bit of front brake just to slow the bike down for 6. You can go without and just have the correct gear, but I find my confidence is better if I just use a small amount of front brake, or even consider the rear brake. Most of the time it's just the front brake, just to slow myself down just enough to get the entry into turn 6 and then have the power coming down into turn 7 and then into turn 8 for Quercia. But once again, electronics are as follows: TCS 2 and 2 3, engine brake on 3 and power on 3 for this particular video. Now I would recommend trialing TCS 2 and 3 if you are not a big fan of having a lower TCS. I'd try 3, but if you're quite okay with that, then definitely consider 2 and 1. As long as you're smooth on acceleration, you should be absolutely fine around Misano. And anti-wheelie, that's entirely up to you. I do find that second or third settings are the best here in Superbike 22. And finally, for the engine brake, either 3 or 4. Anything lower than 3 I find doesn't help you at all, and anything above 4, so 5, is too much and I don't like it. So 3 or 4 is what I would recommend to you guys for today's video. So into the very anti-still park, I want to pay attention once again to turn 4 and to turn 5, braking at that particular point, keeping it nice and tight, but run it deep and then bringing in nice and tight again. Now into turn 5, change direction, a little bit of front brake as you see there, tight to the apex, and bring on the power. And as with all of these corners here in Misano, they all have that gradual rotation of the left analog stick You can see how it's being manoeuvred, it's being pushed and angled in a way where it's nice and relaxed and slow, rather than just being abruptly thrown left, right, or up and down. It's all controlled and very organised, let's say. If you can feel the controller and treat it like a clock, so as you turn in from 12 PM to 3 o'clock, you're not going to go straight directly to 3, you're going to go from 12 to 1 to 2 to 3. And that's the way I want you guys to turn with the analog stick. Nice and gentle, rotate the thumb rather than just shoving the thumb to the left or right. I can't express that any more to you guys. It's very, very important to get the analog stick right, and I do believe you can do it, but it will take a bit of time. So as we conclude lap 7, I'm going to do one more lap in today's video, give it a big push, and let's see if we can improve on the lap time for 1:31.827 from a couple of laps to go. So turn 1, keep it in nice into the centre, keep it in nice and tight for turn 2. A little bit out of shape there, but we're still good, as we now get the change of direction. We're up by 2.5 tenths of a second. So this one we're going to begin to push quite firm on. So braking into turn 4, using a lot of rear brakes, sliding the rear in, going for that wider apex to tape it in tight for turn 5. Change direction in for turn 6, as we now upshift upon the exit into third gear, and we'll now bring on the power. Under the bridge we'll go, right hand side, quick glance, start braking before the rumble strip. We are now entering turn 8 with the right amount of speed, with that tight to middle of the corner apex there. So bringing on the power, stay in 4th gear, move over to the right hand side, you hear the bike scream as it wants to change to 5th. That's your cue to get over into Tramonto if you haven't changed the gear length for 4th gear. Bringing on the power and preparing ourselves for Cavone. 5th gear, bike's beginning to scream, keep it in nice and tight, upshift into 6th, and then move over to the right hand side. And as you're braking here, nice and gentle but also in control, braking and also gearing down to 2nd gear. Quickly drop it down into 1st gear for Caro for 14. Bring on the power, get over to the right hand side of the circuit, drop it into 2nd gear, move over to the left hand side for 15. Bring on the power, brake nice and early, well before that line into the Misano corner. Bring on the power, use all of the track and a bit of the rumble strip if you want. Bring on the power, get across the line, and that is an improvement, and it is a 1:31.309. So guys, I do hope this video has helped you. If it has, let me know in the comments section down below. Also let me know what your fastest lap time in Misano is, because I'm very keen to find out. And upon that note, I'll see you in the next one. So like, comment and subscribe, and ciao for now. Oh hi! Didn't quite see you there. Good to see you're still here. If this video didn't quite sate your appetite, then why not watch some more DrAce content by clicking the video shown on screen now. Furthermore, if you would like to follow me on social media, you can do so now with the links down in the description. Consider subscribing so you don't miss a single DrAce video.